This isn't concept art. It's actually playable. And this is where our creators started. Somehow, Embark Studios turned this into this. Here's how they built one of the most ambitious sci-fi worlds in games. In this video, we'll be looking at some modular assets. We'll take a look at one environment from early pitch concepts all the way to the final version that made it into the game. We'll look at the behind the scenes of a trailer and some concept arts, both from props and from the enemies. Okay, so let's get started by looking at the work of Razvan Stanciu, who worked on the consoles. So those here are actually screenshots from the, I believe, from the early trailers. And here we have some in-game footage that we can see those consoles pretty much everywhere. And here we have a GIF. So here we have all the pieces being assembled like that to create various shapes in different locations. So some of those pieces, we can see variations of that basically pretty much everywhere in most maps. So we have lots of lovely screenshots, and you gotta appreciate, you can tell they're very well optimized. I believe the texture resolution also is really well optimized. Here it's quite high. We see lots of details. When we need those little rust spots, it's pretty good too. But on other parts of the surface, it seems to be very, I would say compressed, not compressed. Let me check here. I get the feeling that over that surface of metal, it's probably quite low, as you can see, because metal, we can get away with it, but the rust spots seem to be of higher density. So this is very interesting, and all in all, I mean, it's very good quality. You can see here, for instance, I just want to draw your attention on some specific spots. Those are not blurry, they're very sharp and well detailed, and other parts are like a little bit more blurry. Also, there's the dust and dirt covering those areas, but actually where it's most noticeable, it's, for instance, on those little buttons, right? Since it's not a big deal and nobody expects that we would read either the characters or anything else, same thing is going on those. And of course, there's again a layer of dust, dirt, of wear and tear, so it works very well. And we have a bunch of additional screenshots. There are lots on the artist portfolio. You can see that those little guys are very low poly, but it works very well. It's a combination of like very low poly here, for instance, here too, and here it's probably the mid poly with smoothing groups and weighted normals, so that those very visible silhouette edge are not super hard. Right here you can see it's not super smooth, but it's not super hard neither. Here it is super smooth, right? Let me actually outline it correctly. Here you can really see the flow of this angle is quite smooth compared to those. Those are a little bit more readable, right? They kind of pop off, they pop out a little bit more with the lighting, and those, like they could get away very well with those. So it's very interesting to study their model. And here you see basically those are the sculpts. You can see all the detail, the surface detail. You can see a lot of work went into it. And then next to it, you can see some very low poly bakes, because that was, well, this would be included too, because that's really not a big deal, right? The overall look seems quite detailed, and this is like a constant in this game. This is why I'm spending quite a bit of time on the consoles, because simply they are really seen everywhere. And here we have another GIF that shows basically just the modularity, how easily those can be placed in different contexts. So then we can appreciate the finer details. You can see some normal details with like the rust eating the metal parts. You can see that the cables are very low poly actually, but it works because from where it's seen, it's not noticeable, right? It's pretty much only artists playing the game that notices these details. But overall, again, it looks very good, and the wear and tear, the rust details, those are done wonderfully. A few more here. So yeah, you see the different pieces for the modular kit. Now let's hear it from the channel's partner, NordVPN. We have a great deal for you. 75% off and 3 months extra. Also with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Why choose NordVPN? Well, because it's the best VPN you can get. You can compare all the data here, and you see that this is by far the best service you can get. Let's look at some of the features. So, uninterrupted streaming. You will not get your videos to stop right in the middle like it happens without a VPN. This is not going to happen with NordVPN. Next generation encryption will keep your online data safe even on public Wi-Fi. Strict no-log policy. NordVPN will not be using your use bandwidth, traffic logs, IP addresses, or browsing data. Very easy to set up, literally only a few clicks and you'll be done. Alerts about leaked credentials. You will be notified if your accounts are in danger. One account, 10 devices. You'll have enough to connect everything in your household. It also comes with an anti-malware tool directly integrated called Threat Protection Pro. So that's a big bonus. You will also have access to thousands of ultra-fast VPN servers everywhere. Now, let's break down this offer. Those prices are in Canadian dollars, but you will see the prices in your country's currency, and the deal will be the same. This is what you should look for right here. So remember that you have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it out with peace of mind. NordVPN is a trusted company. And as you can see, you have from 73% to 75%. Of course, you have different plans. You can choose the one that suits your need. You see that there's not that much difference between the two bottom ones and the two top ones. It's also not a big leap from one to the other. So you choose whichever makes sense for you. So those prices are for the 2-year plans. If we look at the 1-year plans, it's also very good. You save from 60 to 69%, which is a lot. So you see the prices, still very reasonable, very good offer, and 3 extra months. And finally, let's look at the regular price. This is a great offer. You'll be able to browse the internet freely with peace of mind. You will have access to region-locked content, and you will save a lot of money. So don't wait, get the deal. Next, we'll look at the work of Tahir Tanis, who worked on the trailer shot for the gameplay reveal trailer. So everything is modeled, textured, and animated in Blender. And without further ado, let's watch the videos. So this is a short trailer of the reveal of Esperanza with very nice lighting, and we can see the same shot going from wireframes to the final version. Pretty cool. Now let's take a look at Spaceport. So the artist is telling us that this is one of the oldest levels that's been in development for the game. So many people worked on this level. So the map evolved a lot during development. So more structures were added, smaller point of interest, and the artist worked on some of these structures as well as the interior style explorations and rocket parts. So let's take a look at some concepts. Very interesting map with completely different areas. We can see a great shot here. So lots of exploration of style, of lighting, of tone, and the scale is always very imposing. And here we have some of those structures that were added as the development progressed on the game, always with the scale to give a good idea to the rest of the team. Potential asset placements that not only informs the artist who will model those pieces, but the designers. Like the gameplay is also inspired by, oh, okay, what can we do with this? That is actually very interesting. And here we have a very nice asset, which was done also via collaboration with another artist. Next, and still by the same artist, the Beard City. So this is the first level he got to art direct from the ground up. So a lot of work was done to establish the mood, the general feeling of the area. And what is especially great, now we see a lot of interiors, we see some buildings with the main concept of having, well, the city's buried under sand, so you have dunes going pretty much everywhere, which creates a very interesting case of verticality, that you can go up and down buildings by just going up the dune, right? So this is a super interesting concept. And this concept has been pitched through this upcoming video. So this was all done in Blender, and it was meant to basically pitch to the rest of the team. And as you can see, a lot of attention to details were put into this work. So now we'll take a look at the same level, but in its final version. This is done by another artist, Daniel Hennefalk, and he's saying that it's a collaboration effort. There's, of course, a lot of people involved, but he was in charge of basically the house kits, the exterior kits, mainly, if I understand correctly, including balconies, shutters, doors, support structures, and exterior materials like for the walls, the roofs, and the vegetation. So it's a lot of stuff, right? So let's take a look. And honestly, I think this level in general is gorgeous, but this specific part is really lovely. It feels like a European, more precisely an Italian kind of architecture, kind of a small Italian village. And I mean, the sand that is burying this city, and the vegetation also overgrowing everywhere. It's a very interesting twist on the post-apocalyptic Earth, modern day setting that we know and live in. It's really, really a great twist, and it's a very nice artistic vision that came to life. and we can appreciate here this shot I really love. You can really see where the details are going. You can see that the roof is quite low, right? It's quite, let's say, they optimize the roofs. It's basically tiling texture. So looking at the roof, we can zoom in. You can see that the general surface is covered by what seems to be a tileable texture. Maybe it has some displacement, and when we're far, it kind of goes out, right? This is my suspicion. And then, of course, there's like a few tiles and debris laid over it, and along with vegetation, of course. But the asset itself, the roof itself, and we can take a look at other parts of the surface, it really seems like everything that we see, underlying around these debris, it seems to be flat. It really seems to be flat, and I suspect there is some displacement that when you go on those roofs, you can actually see it reacts to the proximity of the camera, and probably it actually shows more shapes. But as it stands here, it seems to be completely flat from this distance. And of course, the main focus is here, and you can see the materials created are really, really nice. I really like, especially here, right, that you see the different heights of those two layers, the plaster, and underneath the concrete underneath. It's very, very nice, and it's a small detail that really pops out and really shows very high quality. And probably those are probably decals around here, around there, probably all of that are simple 2D decals. But this seems to be material blending at a high level, with the crisp outline between the two material blendings. And here you can see this looks like standard decals that are great, and they do a good job. Probably some material blending going on this part here, right? To apply a thick layer of dust and dirt. And you gotta appreciate where the vegetation is spawning. And yes, it is clipping. You might be crazy for those details, and unless I'm mistaken, it seems to be floating here. I'm not sure, right? But it seems this way. Maybe it's been fixed. Maybe it's been from a closer angle. It's spawning in between two other assets. But by the way, these things happen on all productions. It's very, very difficult to have all foliage perfectly go where you want them to go. It requires so much optimization, and it can heat up so much of the performances. It can hinder the performances. So I will make a video on foliage, or maybe more than one video. I'm not an expert, but I'm very interested in the topic, and I do constantly learn on those topics. So I will share what I learn. So we have another one here with the lighting, which is superb. The wood, also the wood material for the shutters is great. You can also see this one is the same as this one. This one is the same as this one. And from this distance, I suspect this is a third one. So there's like 1, 2, 3. And that might be it for this whole... Oh, let's see. Yeah, I think this is the same. This here, is it different? No, it's exactly the same as this one. Which... Is it the same as this one? I believe it's the case. So yeah, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 10, which actually are 3 different models, so that it doesn't look all similar, right? Because you don't want that. Same here. This is the same as this one. This one is the same, but this is quite common, right? But still, it's interesting details. I really love the destruction here, which might be a decal. It's hard to tell from this angle and with this luminosity. This is greatly detailed. The leaks also are great to texture large surfaces, which it will be the topic of a video very soon. How to make it look realistic and interesting, and not just a large surface using a tileable material. Well, it looks boring at first, right? It looks like you can see the tiling being repeated, and it doesn't look like this, right? So how do you make it look like this? Well, stay tuned on the channel. It's going to be explained, and we'll look at different breakdowns quite soon. So yeah, amazing work on this level. If you are interested in learning how to apply the techniques that we're covering while analyzing those games, I have created a course in which I show everything step by step. There are no time lapse, nothing is done off screen. I take the time to explain what we do and why we do it. I show best practices. And we are creating a small environment from A to Z. I'm showing every single step of how it's done on a professional production. I can answer any questions you might have on multiple platforms. So if you are interested, there is a link in the description, and there's a discount available with the code provided. So other work from the same artist who, well, I would venture and guess that he is a foliage specialist, a vegetation artist, biome artist. It has many different names, titles, but that doesn't matter. He's an environment artist, and he is very talented at creating foliage. So trees, grass, bushes, flowers, all that jazz. And this tells us that this studio did not use megascans, right? For instance, and this is great to see. Nothing against megascans. I mean, I believe a lot of studios are using megascans and tweaking. I really love the material. By the way, if we can zoom a little bit, you can see the color gradient. That adds so much realism. They are of great realism, this material, with the color variations. Some are brownish, some are different shades of green, and they react to the light. I mean, the way they should, right? The way a real plant. Oh, actually, this is much better. And you see that the atlas is, I mean, it's not infinite, right? So you see that this texture, this is not to say anything negative. This is absolutely normal, right? You can tell that this leaf especially was, and you can see it here, you can see it there. It's basically the same, but flipped and rotated, and it's like in so many, on so many different leaves and so many different location and rotation. Like, I would say maybe there are 3 different ones. And again, I'm not a specialist, so don't quote me on anything regarding foliage. I just deal with it. I have done it a little bit. I don't have a ton of experience, but I observe and I see what professionals are doing around me. And I mean, honestly, just the albedo is amazing. Like, it's so detailed. And also the vines, the roots, the color variation is great. It's well distributed also. It's, in this case, it's mainly in the back, or where it would kind of receive less sun or something like that. It's just really great looking asset. And there is one, actually, this is interesting because this is the healthy one, and this is the dead or dying one, right? It's the same asset with different material. So that's just very interesting. You see less leaves, and you can tell immediately that, oh, okay, this is very healthy. It's receiving enough, water and sun, but not this one. So great work by the artist. There is more on his portfolio on ArtStation. So you have the link. You can go and take a look. We are now looking at the work of Esbjorn Nord, who worked on the early world exploration. So you can see some of his great concept art. And we have this right here, which is a concept of spaceport. So the level evolved and changed, but there are many, many things that were already there. And this is from 2019, 2020, around these dates. So it's very interesting to take a look at that. And we have various levels. Great composition and lighting. Those pieces are amazing for the team to really set the mood and the scale, the amazing scale of some of those levels. And here we have a very interesting image where we can see some functionality, some of really how will the player navigate through those areas. So cross section of a floor. Then you see here with the player for scale. And this is just an amazing piece. This is, the central piece, of course, of this level. But there are many other structures. So lots of great concept art. We have a few more pieces from the same post of the artist. So those are really, really cool. And this one especially is really telling on what the game is going to be all about, right? And especially with the navigation potential, the traversal that the player will be able to do. I don't know if that, this is ziplining, right? The feature in the game. You can see, of course, players for scale, and this is such great work to have early on during production when they build a world, when they establish what can be done and what can't be done. Even more work from the same artist. We have some famous piece of concept art. We can see that on Google, on ArtStation. Those consoles that we have seen earlier, where they are used in many different levels. And we see those again used differently. You can see that the color can be changed. The idea is really modularity, maximum reuse, and that was very successfully executed by the team later on. We have some more. This is something I really like. And horizontal slice of a building so that you can have a good idea. And then, of course, people who play the game knows that there's a roof. But this is pretty much exactly how this environment ended up being in the game. So that is great. And you have those little topographic maps that were done by the artist. Now we are moving on to props. So there are lots of props, and those concepts are just fantastic. And I absolutely love to see this. This is like, it's basically, it looks like an engineer's technical drawing of the assets. So that's great. You have the elevations, you have some plans, but mostly those are elevations, front and side. You have some variations, And this is just so great to see. And honestly, the quality of the work here is just amazing. And basically, every piece of those nice consoles that we've been looking at have been put into concepts right here. And you can see for each and every one, they have these views, these technical drawings, which are just so great to have. Like, those are amazing references for the team who worked on the final assets, the optimized assets. So we can maybe take a moment to compare what this concept was and how it ended up being in the game. Well, of course, they had to optimize it, right? It's even more so since it's a modular kit. It's reused all over the place. And, you know, in a competitive kind of environment for a game, the optimization is even more important, especially, you know, multiplayer. You have a lot going on. So the optimization was quite intense, but they preserved the essence of all the complex props and the sci-fi nature. At the same time, it's like, I wouldn't use Star Wars as a reference, but you know, the kind of it's futuristic, but it feels old, or it feels outdated, or it's been used for a long time. So this is really what they were going for. But I use Star Wars as an example all the time because it's really ridiculous. And I love Star Wars, and everybody accepts that, yeah, that was the vision from the 70s, that, you know, future could look like this. Of course, complex machines don't look anything like what they look in Star Wars, but still, it's kind of a funny thing to discuss. But those are of a really different nature on those concepts. But in the final version that made it in the game, everything was so optimized that it feels a little bit like the simplicity that we find in Star Wars. I really literally cannot get enough of those concepts. Like, so clean, so, like, this is amazing. I think every production now that will work on such assets has to use these. Like, either you try to hire this artist, or at the very least you kind of apply the same principle, right? And this is also very cool. We see the interior, we see exactly how it's been built, how it operates, how it holds together. Okay, so now we have the Arc enemies early exploration, and we have a lot of concepts to cover. We can appreciate those 3D models already with some animations to explore how could they behave. And we have this kind of a blueprint, which is really, really amazing also. And we have others. We have all sorts of amazing concepts. And we have a few videos also. So here we have even more concepts, again from the same artist, regarding the enemies. So we have a lot of mechanical parts, details, and this one is tileable geometry made for the destruction states in-game. So this is used for internal parts of the enemies. When they're broken, you add some VFX, you know, with smoke and electricity sparkling, and you have some of these parts visible, and you have something great going on. So there are tons of concepts which are absolutely amazing, and it gives a very good idea of how they approached the enemy design. I'm not going to go over everything. You have the link in the description, so you can see the artist portfolio and you can appreciate the work. So many iterations, and this is really the work of concept artists before it gets sent to 3D artists, riggers, animators, and then the rest of the team, so that it ends up in the engine with an AI that works. And a lot of work is put by so many different departments. But before we make decisions, we need to see it, right? And some decisions are not just purely aesthetical, they are also functional, and the weaponry might be different. So then the abilities, the strength and difficulty of the enemy facing the enemy will be different. So I took a lot of screenshots for on the board so that you can explore. I will make the board available very soon also. But please go and pay a visit to these artists' ArtStation pages. You will see amazing work. There is more than what I could gather right here. And next up, we'll take a look at some videos. So this one shows in Blender the rig for the guns. So it's a very simple rig, but it works perfectly. And you see on the left in the render some smooth, cool animations going on. That's pretty neat. This one shows the insides of this machine. Pretty cool setup. Again, all done in Blender. And our last video is showing the joints, how the hydraulics are working, how everything is well connected, and it behaves in a believable manner. Really good job. So that covers it for Arc Raiders. There are much more artwork to find on ArtStation from these very artists, and there are also other great artists who contributed to the game, and you can explore ArtStation and enjoy their work. If you appreciate such breakdowns, this channel has lots of others from great games, and many more are planned for the future. So subscribe, stay tuned, and see you soon. Shout out to the members of the channel, and you are all welcome to join. Additional perks will be added very soon.